What's up guys, Frodo here, a new view and a new review. God, that was awful. So in my typical review fashion, I'll be reviewing late a new piece of technology. I'm going to be reviewing the 2018 Retina MacBook Pro, the one that came out with the Core i9, you can bump it up to 32 gigabytes, fancy memory, and the 4 terabytes of onboard solid-state storage. So we're going to talk about that today. So if you guys remember from a little while ago, I did a review of the 2015 MacBook Pro and how I had been using it in 2018. And because it had been kind of slowing down, it had pretty much become my primary on-the-go editor. And it's now living a new life as my sister's college laptop because her 2012 MacBook Pro, which was also my 2012 MacBook Pro before she got it, finally bit the bullet. So the MacBook Pro that you see in this video is not actually the 2015 one I used in the review, but it's actually my first 2012 one that is kind of dead. Not sure if it's the board or the screen or whatever, but I'm going to try to fix it. But all the specs, all of the results that you see with the render times are all done from my 2015 Retina MacBook Pro and are going to be compared to the new 2018 MacBook Pro. So this came out not too long ago, and now that everything's kind of cooled down, get it? I made a joke about the temperature problem. 2 bad jokes in one video. I don't think I can do much worse. So anyway, after things calmed down and we've finally had a chance to have updates come out for it, I'm running it on Mojave. How is it as a replacement for a 2015 MacBook Pro? I'm not one of these rich YouTubers. I don't have a 2017 Retina MacBook Pro to compare it to. I have a 2015 that I was comparing it to. So how does it do in comparison to that? Damn good. So the first thing it does well is my favorite thing, which is the color. Yeah, it doesn't really have to do it well, it's just painted that color, or rather anodized that color, but oh my god, it looks so good. It looks amazing, and I love the look of this. Of course I picked the space gray. What other color would I pick? Silver? I've had silver since 2012, I'm not doing that. And of course with this one, it is thinner. It's got a brighter display. Yes, it has the hated touch bar. It has the low travel keys. We're going to cover all of this. But yeah, thinness. Let's talk about that for a minute. So a lot of YouTubers just kind of gloss over the thinness, but I'm going to go into a little more detail with it. Because on Apple's website, when it was being compared to the 2015 MacBook Pro, yeah, it pretty much was like, oh my god, look how much thinner it is. And when they came out with the 2018 model and the closest comparison was the 2016, not much really changed, but they touted it as this really thin laptop, which it is, but it's really not that much thinner than the 2015 MacBook Pro. It's a bit thinner, it's a lot lighter, I will give it that. But what did the thinness cost?
What did it cost?
Everything.
Yeah, the thinness costs the keyboard being different, the thermals being different, the ports are all different, the Apple logo doesn't glow anymore. That's kind of a nitpicky thing, but I liked the glowing Apple logo. That was one of my favorite things. So all of these things are different, but we're going to kind of take these one at a time. So the first thing to change from my 2015 MacBook Pro is the keyboard. It's thinner, it's a lot thinner, and it's got a lot less travel. Now, I never experienced the issues that everybody talked about with the 2016 MacBook Pro. That was mainly because I didn't have one. The 2015 one, you could just take some compressed air and blow the dirt out of the keys, and they never stopped working. So I was a little hesitant when I did the upgrade, and I saw all this stuff coming out about the keyboard being unreliable and stuff, but it's comfortable. It took me a little while to get used to. I was used to the butterfly switches already with my iPad Pro's keyboard, but I just was not used to... I wasn't used to the keyboard being that large and still not having that much travel. That did take a bit of getting used to. It's also a lot clickier, even for the fact that they said it's quieter. It's a lot clickier and still louder than the 2016, 2015 Retina MacBook Pro model. I keep wanting to say 2016. Oh, and having Touch ID is actually a really, really nice thing. I don't use it often because you can also unlock it with your Apple Watch, which is what actually ends up happening more than me using Touch ID. But it's there, so it's nice. So yeah, it's different. I don't mind it. I got used to it pretty quickly, but it is different, and I'm not sure how I feel about it because I don't really think much about it. Most of the time it's actually hooked up right here, and I don't ever have to think about it because I have a completely different keyboard for the desktop setup anyway. And with that being said, with it being set up in a desktop mode, how are the thermals? Well, That's kind of the interesting thing. So I personally never had any thermal issues with this. I have seen it throttle, as everybody has said, but I've never seen it like lose performance. And I think that's mainly because when I came from a 2015 and I bumped up to a 2018, anything that this thing did was faster than the previous version that I had. So I can't really speak to the thermal issue and it affecting performance, because this thing could probably be running at like 1.2 gigahertz and still be faster than the one that I came from. So it's interesting in that regard. Plus, the fact that I have it standing upright in one of these 12 South stands means that the thermals are optimal. It actually is able to pull air in from the vents on the side and blow the air up through the top and not have to worry about it kind of blowing into the screen or getting in the way. And I also have an eGPU hooked up to it so that the graphics card is pretty much not even an issue with the thermal system. It's only cooling the CPU when I have it in desktop mode. So my scenario is a little different than others. When I take it on the go, it does kick the fans up a lot, but it doesn't really have that much of an effect on the way that I use it, other than I can't keep it on my lap too long. But the thermals are a trade-off if you want the performance that this laptop can provide. Now, I'm not a Premiere editor. I hate Adobe Premiere with a passion. The only Adobe products that I use are Photoshop and After Effects, and occasionally InDesign. I do not use Premiere because it reminds me too much of Final Cut Pro 7, and Final Cut Pro 7 was the reason I went to Premiere, because I hated Final Cut Pro 7. With 10, I'm a lot more comfortable. With Compressor, I'm a lot more comfortable. So I'm in that Apple semi-pro editor ecosystem. And I gotta say, this thing flies through edits like it's nothing. So the first thing in this beautiful stew of performance is the processor. This is the full spec Core i9 processor, the one that everybody complained about, that I personally love. It's coupled with 32 gigabytes of DDR4 memory, and I even bumped up to the RX 560X graphics. I know it's Radeon Pro or whatever, but it's basically just an overclocked RX 560 for a mobile system. All of that fancy hardware is writing to and reading from a 1 terabyte NVMe solid state SSD. Now, it's NVMe, but it's solid state soldered to the board, so that kind of sucks. I can't change it out, but you know, for the performance I get out of this and the read and write speeds, look at this. Yeah, I have no problem with the fact it's soldered down if I get that kind of performance. It's pretty awesome. So what does all this performance mean for me as an editor? Well, I took the video that I was talking about earlier, my 2015 Retina MacBook Pro in 2018 video, and I had originally made it on my 2015 Retina MacBook Pro, and it exported it in 10 minutes and 38 seconds. Now this is an 11-minute 1080p video. This is being rendered out in a bitrate that YouTube plays nice with. It's about 4500 kbps, so kilobits per second. So that was what my baseline was. After that, I threw it onto my external SSD and rendered it out on my Retina MacBook Pro from 2018, the brand new one. This thing kicked the same video out in 3 minutes and 55 seconds. That is insane. And just to see how the desktop version of what I had before, an iMac from the same year, the 2015, just to see how that did, I threw it onto, still on the SSD, threw it into my iMac in the basement, and this is an older iMac. It was like, it's the spec'd out 2015 model, so pretty good, but not great. It's the i5, not the i7. I threw it in there, and it cranked it out in almost 12 minutes. This laptop's no joke. I mean, I know people complain about the thermals and stuff, but for any Final Cut editors out there, anybody who uses Final Cut and Compressor on a regular basis are going to love this machine. It is so stupid fast. Now, when it's in desktop mode, it's actually even faster because I have an eGPU connected to the back, so there might be a review coming out about that soon. We'll see how I feel about making it, but that improves my export times even more, just saying. So yeah, for performance, if you are using Final Cut, it's phenomenal. If you're using After Effects, which I use on occasion, it's phenomenal. If you're using Premiere, still good. That's where a lot of YouTubers ran into thermal issues, so take that as you will. I have not even touched Adobe Premiere in this thing yet, so I really don't know how it does. If you're out there and you're using it, let me know though, because everybody else seems to think that it cooks it and burns the whole laptop to the ground. Now, earlier when I was talking about the keyboard, I skipped over what was below the keyboard, which is the trackpad, of course. And this uses the same technology in the trackpad as the 2015 Retina MacBook Pro. This is the 3D Touch trackpad, the one that gives you sort of a click feel without actually clicking, and it's pressure sensitive and all that. This is carried over, but it is scaled up to be bigger than my iPhone. And I have an iPhone 10 for reference. This trackpad is huge, but it is so nice. Palm rejection is really good, so when you're typing, it doesn't get in the way. It doesn't, put in random clicks when you're typing. It gives you so much real estate when you're dragging around files on the desktop. You don't run out off the edge and, click on something by accident. You don't have to worry about running out of space when you're scrolling left to right or up and down on a timeline or a website. It's literally the same size, or at least feels like the same size as the one that they include or you can order with your desktop stuff. So it's big. It's really big, and I love it. The other implementation of touch technology put on the laptop is the touch bar. Love it or hate it, it's there. It's the only way to get this kind of spec on the laptop. They haven't given up on it. I don't think they will. Apple's pretty hard-headed about that kind of stuff, but it's kind of useful. Because I leave mine in desktop mode more times than not, I find myself not really using it. The implementation is neat. I mean, in Final Cut, I can switch between my tools if I didn't already know the key commands, or I can scroll back and forth on the timeline fairly quickly if I didn't have a trackpad that could do that already. It feels kind of redundant, but then again, so do the function keys. So the fact that there's a touchscreen that lets me at least change some things like the volume and some of the settings, that is kind of nice that there's something useful there, because otherwise it's just function keys with some shortcuts attached. Now, I know everybody's probably waiting for me to talk about the ports. Go talk about the ports. It's all USB-C. Yes, it's all USB-C, Thunderbolt 3, whatever. Because in the first video that I ever made about the MacBook Pros, I hated hardcore on the port decision that they made. Then in the second video, I pretty much made a full 180 about it. Now that I'm living with it, I'm sure you guys want to know what I think, but I'm going to make you wait a little bit longer because I actually want to talk to you about something else that has been an issue on this. So it wouldn't be fair to you if I just talked about positive things and things that I was indifferent towards. There is something that I have been having an issue with that I'm actually going to have to go to Apple to have this fixed. The speakers, for some reason, on the left side don't work properly at all. The subwoofer isn't firing or something's wrong with it, but it sounds awful, which is really unfortunate because a lot of people have said that the speakers are so good on this. And on the right side, yeah, the speakers sound great. On the left side, you know what, just listen to this. So notice when I slide left to right, you can hear all of the fidelity that's in the right speaker go away when I shift to the left speaker. And I really don't know what's causing that. I'm going to have to take it to Apple. So hopefully it's not a big issue, but it is going to put a big kind of dent in what I'm able to do since this is my only editing rig. I've completely taken down my old desktop. I've changed so many things that I can't really do much without my laptop. So that's gonna kind of suck. All right. I was going to tease you a bit more and go onto the display and then talk about the ports, but we'll talk about the display later. So let's talk about the ports. Yes, it's all USB-C, Thunderbolt 3, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, the previous model had MagSafe, 2 Thunderbolt 2s, 2 USBs, it had an HDMI, an SD card reader, and a headphone jack. Yes, I know. I have heard everybody tell me that when I bought this, who is not a fan of this computer. Everybody who I know who knows I bought it has already said that. So I get it. And I don't care. And here's why. So with everything that I use this for on a daily basis, I have pretty much narrowed this down to a 2-plug solution. So I use a Thunderbolt 2 Express dock. It's actually sitting right over here. And it's really nice. I've had it forever. I've had it since my first Retina MacBook Pro with Thunderbolt, and I can't really part with it. It's a great device, but it uses a different port, so I had to get the adapter. And of course, this adapter set me back a little bit. It's a pain because you got to go from Thunderbolt 3 to Thunderbolt 2, and then you can use everything, but that's the thing. Then you can use everything. One adapter, and I'm done. And that gives me, on the Express dock, it gives me 3 Thunderbolts. It gives me a freaking FireWire port. I mean, come on. Who uses FireWire anymore? But anyway, FireWire port gives me 2 different audio inputs. It's nice. I like it, and I'm probably going to continue to use it for a while. And that's one adapter fixed all that for me. And the second port is a full Thunderbolt 3 port that runs into the back of my eGPU. The eGPU then, of course, runs these 2 displays, runs a Thunderbolt out so that I can run a second display off of it, so that's where the 2 displays come from. And then it also gives me USB ports where I can run a hub that runs my 2 cameras, my microphone, everything. So 2 cables, set it here, and I'm done. But what if I'm on the go and I want to plug in a standard USB connection, or I want to plug in an SD card that I'm using for my cameras? I bought what's called the Hyperdrive. This is actually one of the coolest adapters I bought. I got it on sale, so it was $80, but right now it's normally $100. So it is pretty pricey, but it gives you 2 USB 3.0 ports, gives you an HDMI port on the top, 2 pass-throughs for Type-C, one of which is Thunderbolt, and then it gives you 2 different SD card adapter types. And this is completely portable. You can take it with you. You just pop it into the side. You don't lose the USB ports that are already there, but you also gain all of those different ports. So that's my solution for on the go, and I love it. So I don't really have to worry about, anything like that. All right, cool, Smarty. Well, what about if I don't have that adapter with me and I just need to plug in some sort of external device to save footage from? I bought a Samsung T5. This is the best SSD that I could afford at the time, and still the best SSD that I can afford. And I love it. It comes with a regular USB-A port, so if I need to plug it into an older device, I can. But it gives you Type-C to Type-C, full 3.1 connection, which means that it is stupid fast. In fact, this video you're watching right now is going to be imported and saved onto that SD card. So that's how that works, and I meant to say SSD. So with all that being said, I don't mind USB-C. In fact, I really like USB-C. I like the fact that it's reversible. I've been used to that with my iPhones and iPads for years now. I like the fact that it's very versatile. If it says Type-C to whatever, it'll work, which is really nice. If you have an iPhone and you buy an extra USB Type-C cable, it's a very fast and, very reliable connection for both charging and data. You do have to buy another cord, though, and they are shipping USB-A cords with the new iPhones, so if you're going to get one of these and you want to plug in a phone, definitely invest in a Type-C connector, because Apple doesn't seem to think that that's necessary. And the other nice thing with Type-C that I love is the charging. Yeah, MagSafe is nice. I am going to miss MagSafe with my old stuff, because if you trip over the cord, it does just pop right out. But the fact that I can just plug it in on either side, if, let's say, something's blocking one of the ports, I can switch it to the other side. Or if I'm concerned that somebody's going to trip over the cable, I can just plug it in on the side where people are less likely to trip over it, which is really nice. So, yeah, ports, they're kind of a non-issue for me. I spent a bit on the adapters to fix the problem, and now there is no problem. So I'll take that. All right, so lastly, the screen. Now, it's the same 2880 by 1800 display as what was on the previous one, but this one is full P3 color gamut compliant, which means that for an editor like myself, when I'm not in desktop mode, I still get a phenomenally accurate color representation of whatever I'm working on. It does have True Tone, which I turned off immediately because I want something that is extremely accurate. I don't want to have to worry about whether or not the white balance of the room I'm in is going to affect the white balance of the clip that I'm editing. So if you are into that, if you like it on the phone and you're getting like the 13-inch MacBook Pro as a college computer, cool. It's really nice. It's easy on the eyes. The touch bar, if you have a college computer that you spent the money to get a touch bar version with, does also match the screen. So if you were wondering if the white balance of your touch bar is going to be as accurate as the white balance on your computer, sure, yeah, it is going to be. But I turned it off. So apart from the kind of gimmicky True Tone feature, I love this display. It's nice to be able to pick up the laptop from my desktop setup and continue to have a full color accurate experience like I have with my monitors in a laptop. Now, the laptop is actually sharper than the displays that I use on my desktop, but the color accuracy is what I care more about, because giving me a sharper display just means that I have more real estate to play with. It looks better when I'm editing. And I mean, look at the colors on this thing. This is the video that I used to kind of show you how nice the colors were with my last laptop, and I played the same video on this, and it's kind of hard to carry it over in video, but it looks so much better. The colors just pop, and I love it. So the display is one of the best features of this. So performance, display, great design. The ports are kind of an up in the air deal. If you like them, you like them. If you hate them, there's probably not going to be much to convince you that they're good. So that's kind of the only thing that I think this laptop didn't do well, is ditching all the Type-C ports. I still like the fact that they're all Type-C ports, and I think that that's going to be the future of a lot of ports, is something this versatile on everything. That's where I feel like things are going. But I feel like Apple jumped the gun a bit, but companies aren't going to move forward if nobody jumps the gun. So overall, this is a rock-solid laptop. Literally, the aluminum build is very solid. It's a very well-made machine, but it's also basically a pro desktop in a laptop that you can take with you on the go with that Core i9 and all the fancy features. It's phenomenal. I love this machine. I think it was a worthwhile upgrade coming from 2015 to 2018. But for most of you, if you have a good performing laptop from 2016 or even the 2017 minor refresh that they did with the MacBook Pro, you're really not going to miss out on much. A lot of people have said this already, where if you already have a fairly modern MacBook Pro, you're not really going to miss out on it. And even if you have a 2015 MacBook Pro and all you do is college work, some light photo editing, and iMovie, even if you use a bit of Final Cut, it's not really going to be a necessary upgrade. This is an upgrade I got for two reasons. My sister needed a laptop because hers died. And with me stepping up a lot of video production for my channel, I needed something that could export significantly faster, and my desktop wasn't cutting it, my laptop wasn't cutting it, so I needed to do something to get a faster output time, and this fit the bill. So what do you guys think? I personally love this laptop. I think it was a completely worthwhile upgrade for what I do, but that's not for everybody. So what do you think? Do you think it's worth your time, worth the money? Do you think it's a waste of time? Because I know a lot of people seem to think that this is a $7,000 laptop, but you can just get a smaller storage option or less RAM if you don't need all of that, and get it for a significantly lower price. This specific model was just under $4,000. That is a lot of money, but I'm not going to have to touch this thing in about, gosh, 5 to 6, maybe even 7 years before I'm going to need to upgrade, especially with the fact that it's kicking out videos in half the time of my last laptop. I think it was worth my time. But what do you guys think? I always love hearing your opinions. And let me know what you guys think of the cinematography of this video, because previously I filmed all of these on my iPhone, and I finally stepped up my camera game. I'm shooting this entire video on a Canon T2i, which is actually my parents' camera because it's got a 50mm lens, but I'm also filming this on a Sony a6000 mirrorless camera with a new setup and all that stuff. So let me know what you guys think. I hope I did pretty good with the shots and pretty well with the cinematography. Anyway, guys, this has been my review of the 2018 MacBook Pro. Probably the last review of a MacBook Pro that I'm going to do for a while, now that I've done 3 once per year. So, yeah, apart from that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to be there, and have a good one.